And I'm going to explain that to everybody just about now. From Studio A in Texas, USA, welcome to In Wheel Time, the award-winning all things automotive car talk show. On today's 2-hour program, we focus on used and pre-owned cars, the state of the used car market, what to look for when buying one, warranties, and the importance of a Carfax report and how that works. Inside our new car showroom today is the Toyota Tundra. Mr. Mars has that. And I'll be talking about the Buick Enclave. We'll give you an in-depth review of each of those. And we'll have this week's automotive news, our weekly Ram Tracks and Jeep Trails features. All that and more just ahead on today's 2-hour in-wheel time car show for Saturday, June 6th, 2020. Howdy. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars down there, past president of the Texas Auto Writers Association, and King Conrad DeLong, former member of the General Motors folks. Entourage, as it were. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad that you could join us. I'm not going to tell you what I've done in my life because you don't really.
You can read that in the paper.
Yeah, exactly. The
court records.
The court records and mug shots. Yeah, that does all of that. So we're so glad that you could join us today. It's a hot day here in Houston, Texas. I think it's supposed to go up to the mid-90s, and it's hot in here. I didn't turn the air conditioner on in here until this morning, and nobody has said anything yet. But I've gone ahead
to be polite.
I've gone ahead and volunteered that information. Let's dive right into the used car market, shall we? And joining us right now is Emily Voss, and she is from Carfax. And Emily, it's great to see you along with you. I understand we've got the GM of data at Carfax, Faisal Hassan. Thank you both for joining us today. It's really good to have you both with us. And thank you for taking the time out of your Saturday. I know you had nothing else to do. Are both of you in Virginia?
Yes.
Y'all are both up in Virginia. Yeah. And I never knew where Carfax was located. But
no, I didn't.
Well, Virginia. Well, why not? I mean, we like that part of the country. And let's talk about Carfax and how Carfax got started and give us a little background on that. And you guys decide on who's going to answer that question.
Well, Carfax started about 35 years ago, and I'll let Faisal fill a little background because he has been with the company almost 20 years, and we really are a data company, and he is our GM of data. So I think he's the best to speak to some of that history and where we were born out of.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we were born in Columbia, Missouri, believe it or not. A guy had an idea. He literally built the company in his garage. He got 10,000 branded titles from the state of Missouri and started literally faxing them out to dealers. Over time, he added a whole bunch of different things. And by 1990, word had gotten out about what he did. And the reason we're in Virginia is pretty interesting. The Carfax was purchased by a Canadian company. And they thought, well, you got to be near the federal government. So they kept the data center in Columbia, Missouri, but they headquartered the company just outside of Washington, D.C., and that's how we got here. Over the last 35 years, we've just had this ultra focus on what are all the things that could happen to a car from the moment it leaves the factory till it becomes scrap metal. And then what are all the key things that consumers need to know about and dealers need to know about, right? Buyers and sellers when they're looking at a used car. And so over the years, that's really what we've done. And the last 20 years in particular, that has been our focus. We put up a picture of a car. What are all the things that could happen to that car? Let's go get that data at a VIN level and make it available.
How does it work? I mean, okay, I understand it's with a VIN number, a vehicle ID number, but how do you connect what that vehicle ID number is with, say, a flooded vehicle, or if it was wrecked really badly, or it wasn't wrecked at all, it just happens to be 10 years old? How do you collect that information and associate it with the VIN?
That's a great question. I mean, that's part of it is our secret sauce. I saw your show about a year ago where you guys did a really cool show on flood cars. Yes. And you were talking about how to find a flood car. I thought that was great. So that's what we do. We work with departments of motor vehicles. We work with insurance companies. We work with the salvage yards, right? We work with law enforcement. So I'll give you a great example. When Katrina hit in New Orleans, because we were talking about flood cars,
Yes.
we were on the ground with the National Insurance Crime Bureau. We worked with them directly. We worked with the Louisiana State DMV. We were marking those cars as quickly as possible. Even before the insurers were totaling them, NICB was saying, "Hey, here's this car; it's underwater." So so we were going after that. Today, if you're driving down the road and God forbid you're in an accident, the police are going to show up. They're going to write up a report of that accident. They're going to file it away somewhere by the VIN number. And so we work with law enforcement across the United States at the agency level to get them the tools they need to have them report accidents faster. And in exchange, we get the VIN and the fact that the vehicle was in an accident, an airbag deployed, it flipped over. The things you'd want to know if you were buying a used car.
So basically what you are is you're a data gatherer and disseminator of that information amongst us, the buying public out there. And so how do you make your money? Do you charge per VIN search, or is there a time limit? How does the Carfax work?
Yeah, I mean, dealers. So our main customer is the dealer,
okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a strong brand that consumers trust, but really we want them to go to a reputable dealer. Because you don't want to buy. You want to be careful where you buy your car, but you really want to go to a reputable dealer. And the dealers, they run the reports and they post them everywhere. You can get a free Carfax report. Every time a consumer buys a Carfax report, we just look at them and say, why? Why are you buying the report? If you go to Carfax.com, if you go to AutoTrader, if you go to all of these places, the dealer's already posting the report. If a dealer subscribes to our service, we post the report everywhere for them. And they get to use it at wholesale, at retail, when they're doing trade-in. The consumer should be getting it for free. The seller should be disclosing everything.
So just as a consumer, I need to ask for that because I've never been offered that.
Yeah, you got to say, "Show me the Carfax," right?
Yeah.
Exactly. There you go.
That's a good commercial for a tag. That's a good tagline for a
Very
commercial.
good.
What a great idea.
I also understand that in the dealership world with the Carfax itself, it's required for their certified pre-owned vehicles. Carfax has to be pulled to let a car qualify for CPO. So that all kind of intertwines with making sure that before they offer it as a certified pre-owned, that the accident history has been inspected on the vehicle besides all of the other inspections that they do.
Very good. Excellent. That's exactly right. We rolled out with Mercedes years and years ago as the first, but virtually every single brand today uses Carfax as one of the qualifiers or disqualifiers, one
Correct.
of many,
Yeah.
in order whether to certify a vehicle or not.
And you are gathering, Don talked about you being an information clearinghouse, and you're adding more and more information that's coming into Carfax each year, because now what I've watched is there are certain companies that are providing you with maintenance information that you're adding into the Carfax as well. How long ago did you guys get that integrated?
Well, we launched that, believe it or not, back in 2004. We load about 6 million records every single day.
Oh my God.
6 million every single day.
Wow.
And we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah,
We always talk about being in the bottom of the third inning of Carfax's ball game. We have over 60,000 service and repair facilities that we work with every day at a VIN level who are reporting to us, something that's happening to a car. And Emily can talk about the Car Care app, which is how we're showing consumers the benefit of that.
Let's hear about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and overall, I mean, he said 6 million records a day. We have over 24 billion records. So, and that includes the accident damage, the title, the branded titles, the service records. So we're uniquely positioned, and I think that's where the Car Care app was born out of too, because we do have it's really information as far as how to maintain your vehicle during your ownership. We have OEM recommended service we'll send out. We'll let you know if there's an open recall on your vehicle. If you guys don't mind, I can share my screen and show
Please do,
what
yes.
Yeah, please do.
we're talking about.
Yes, please do.
By the way, the Car Care app is free. I recommend all three of you download it. And the great thing about it is, we use it all the time. I have a son who goes to school in Austin, Texas. and I can track everything he's doing on his car, make sure he's getting his oil changes, all of those things. And the moment he gets it done, it gets reported to Carfax. So you don't have to do anything yourself. We're like your virtual glove box.
So Faisal knows if he's getting it done.
So absolutely. I'll call him in a second if I see he hasn't gotten his oil changed.
We'd love to see that screen Mr. Mars is working on.
I'm trying to figure out why it's not letting her share.
Okay. But at any rate, Emily, while we're trying to work on that, explain that app for us on Carfax, if you will.
So it's a great app. You can put multiple vehicles into it. So let's say you're a family that has a couple different vehicles. You can track it, like Faisal said, with his son. So, and they can be different manufacturers. So you put the VIN in, and it will show you when you're due for service. If you have an open recall on a vehicle, it'll let you know even expected maintenance costs. So if you were taking it in for an oil change for that specific type of vehicle, maybe what the expected repair costs should, if you're due for a safety inspection, how much time is left on your registration, all sorts of information in one easy app. There's a desktop version, or we've made it easy with the mobile app. And if a recall comes on your vehicle, you'll get an email alert as well as it lives in the app as well.
So wait, hold on just a minute. I have to ask this. Does this cost me money to register my vehicle on? No.
No.
There's no cost.
Absolutely free. And so, there are tools out there where you can call check on a vehicle, but what's unique about this and what's great is once you put your VIN in, we monitor, we watch those recalls, and we'll let you know if one's open and if a remedy is available. I think that's one of the greatest features of it. And then also these are OEM recommended maintenance. So we will send you, if the manufacturer is recommending that this is about the time that you should be getting an oil change, or your tires, looked at, or your brakes, we send you that kind of the 60,000 mile, checkup, because
a reminder.
A reminder. And it's different for every vehicle. So I think it's especially great when you have a couple of vehicles garage, because it's, it's different for a Ford than it is a Toyota, and it's hard to keep that straight. And we all live very busy lives, but we want to make sure vehicles are safe when they're on the road. And I think this is a great tool because it kind of it makes it mindless, and we send the reminder to you so you don't have to think about it, and it will remind you when maybe you're due for your registration.
Let me send you an example, and that would be my 2001 Corvette that's almost 20 years old, that has 24,000 miles on it. I'm the third owner, and it doesn't get driven very much. So really, it would be kind of an insurance policy for me to register on Carfax that car right now. Not only would it benefit me for oil changes and recalls and that sort of thing, but also in the future when I get so old I can't drive it anymore, and that goes either to my daughter or they sell it off at auction when we have that big estate auction.
Next week.
Well, let's hope that's a long time from now.
Yeah, well, I don't know about how long it is.
But the cool thing about the Car Care app is that not only is it tracking everything like your registration, because you're right, you don't drive it very much, but you do have to get it re-registered. So it will tell you about that. Now, one of the cool things it also does is what we call, and Emily can talk about that, history-based value. And so the other thing we put in the Car Care app is we have your history-based value. Not like the value everybody else does. This is the value of your specific car. Your VIN, your specific car, based on the history of your car.
Correct.
And so you have a really cool 2001 Corvette that has a very specific value. And Emily, I'm sure you've got more to talk about around that, but that's a big part. And you get that in the Car Care app. So the better you take care of the car, the stronger that value is.
Right. And it does. It takes into account whether, how many owners there's been, if it's been well maintained. The area that you live in, where you're looking to sell it, that market too. And it changes, I think, especially right now, given the last few months, what we've seen in the auto industry. It's been a little tumultuous as it has in many other industries. And history-based value is really not only VIN specific, but it also takes into account current market factors as well. So it will give you real time the value of that specific vehicle based on where you're located, what's going on in the market, and also the history of that vehicle. So it's a really unique product, and I think Carfax is uniquely positioned because of that 35 years of data that we've been collecting on vehicles
So where we started the conversation was how Carfax is somewhat dealer centric. Now with the Car Care app, you're becoming consumer centric with that part of Carfax as well, trying to broaden your base and reach of people who utilize your services.
And I think Carfax has always, I mean, we were born out of a consumer need, right? Like we have always been a consumer advocate as a company, but I think we have all this data and we realize, you know, you buy or sell a car every few years, but this data can help people during the course of ownership too. And that includes with servicing. So that's kind of where the Car Care app was born out of. And, you know, we've seen tremendous feedback. It also has a service shop finder. So if you're looking to get your car maintained in your area, you can see verified ratings and reviews from Carfax Car Care customers who actually went to that shop, and they're verified. So you know that you can trust the advice that they're saying as far as their experience.
Wow, what a wealth of information. Listen, thank you both so much for joining us today. We've learned so much. Carfax.com. We love you guys. Thanks, Emily, for all your effort in getting this interview together. And Faisal, I want to be you.
And I'm going to be downloading. Yeah, I'm going to be downloading the app here shortly.
Yeah, I'm trying it right now.
I'll have to have you talk to my wife if you're sure about
that. All right. Well, thank you guys again. We really appreciate it. We'll be in touch. Okay.
Great info. Yeah,
it truly is.
That's great.
But what we learned there, I had no clue. And man, it's always great to talk to those guys. I think we talked to them a couple of years ago, and we've got to stay in touch with those guys. I got their thumb on the pulse of automotive America. A review of the Toyota Tundra is coming up. And actually, we've got a lot going on today on today's program. And we hope that you're going to stay with us for all of that right here on In Wheel Time.
GTG, BRB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
It's kind of my throwback music thing. What does that remind you of? Kind of reminds me of the Munsters a little bit.
As we say, the Munsters or Herman's Hermits back in the
all of the Ventures and all the the whole California surfing
thing. 60s and 70s.
Well, good. Hey, thanks for joining us for today's In Wheel Time Car Show. It's our weekly car show. We've got our new hours now, 10 to noon, and we hope that you'll join us live every Saturday on your favorite streaming device, which would be Facebook, YouTube, or InWheelTime.com. Time now for this hour's car review. I got to drive the Buick Enclave Avenir. Okay, it comes in 4 different trim levels: Preferred, Essence. I work with a girl by the name of Essence, by the way. Essence, Premium, and then the Avenir, top of the line Buick. Front wheel drive, 1SP is what I had. Now, this is the full-size crossover from GM. It's also, Chevrolet makes a version of it as well. It seats up to 7 passengers. This was all new in 2018, the Avenir model. Exterior features, sharp, classy grille. No more of that waterfall grille, never did like that. I love this. Not a 3 or 4-holer Buick any longer. This is a modern-day Buick, but you'll notice on the video there
it still has a side port.
It does have a side port, but it's a modernized side port instead of 3 holes or 4 holes, depending on whether you had the Special or the Roadmaster. Sleek front fender vents that cross into the door. Avenir has a unique grille, looks better than lower trim levels. Small sunshade spoiler over the rear glass gives it a little bit of class there. What I liked about it, the kicked up D-pillar. That's that pillar in the very back of it. You notice that it's got a little kick up to it. I wouldn't do anything to the design of this. Nothing could use improvement there as far as I'm concerned.
Did that D-pillar kind of give you an over-the-shoulder block, or was it really not in your view?
Not in the view.
Okay, good.
Not a problem at all. Interior highlights, swoopy, well-laid-out dash with different trim styles based on packages. What I liked also about it, the quality perforated leather seating that it had, gobs of room for people and packages, near Cadillac comfort on the interior.
Don
what I
said
liked
he
about
liked the leather.
what I liked about this was the quietness of the cabin. Very quiet cabin.
Which is a Buick trait anyhow.
And not only that, but you'd be surprised the differences in the quietness of cabins across all cars and SUVs. There's a look at the interior there. What could use improvement? I had to come up with something. Some plastic parts could be a little bit more upscale, but this is kind of a tweener between an entry level and the Cadillac. So for GM, I think this is the perfect crossbred, if you will, when it comes to trim levels. A 3.6 liter V6, 310 horsepower, 266 pound-feet of torque, 9-speed automatic transmission. It can tow up to 5,000 pounds. So a small trailer or a small
And
boat,
with a
something like
9-speed, did you find it?
Never even came into play.
Okay,
You
so-
never even knew that it was there.
And again, that could be some of the Buick tuning as well.
City, 18 miles per gallon. On the highway, 26 for a combined total of 21. I got 23.3 miles
Wow.
per gallon over 234.2 miles. What I liked about it, plenty of responsiveness on that engine with the 9-speed transmission. Nothing could use improvement on that combination. Ride and handling, it's all about the comfort, but it's not some sort of a floater going down the road like the old Buicks. That's none of that. What could use improvement? It's not as sporty as some of its European counterparts.
But it's not supposed to be.
It's not supposed to be. It's got its own niche.
Right.
And I really like this car. Base trim price, $53,800. Price as tested, $57,000. You can get into one of these for $36,272.
An Enclave. Yeah,
Yes,
but
the
not the
Enclave.
Avenir. The Avenir is where, okay.
Correct. This is the base model. Competitors, its cousin Chevy Traverse for $29,800, the Acura MDX for $51,000, the Ford Expedition for $48,990, and that is the review of the Buick Avenir, the Buick Enclave Avenir. The In-Wheel Time show streams on Facebook.com/InWheelTime, on YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, TuneIn, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. We've kind of rearranged the way that we've done our podcasts, so we've got them in 30-minute segments now. So there'll be one each day, Monday through Thursday, and then a special surprise on Friday. We're not going to tell you what the
Special surprise.
You know, it's kind of like the mystery garage back here. It's just kind of a special surprise. Thanks for joining us here today on the In Wheel Time program. I almost said radio program, but that's where we were born. That was 9 years ago. Can you believe it's been that long?
It's amazing.
9 years.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, that was I started on the radio show just shortly after I went to work for BG. So, and I'm 10 years with BG right now.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And where were you before that?
General Motors for 25 years prior to that.
See, we always have these little
And
nuggets of surprise.
I'm
for
moving up in the world now. I get to work with you guys
Ta-da!
and enjoy the pre-show. We should really do the pre-show as a subscription video because it's so much fun on the pre-show as we're
We'd have to put
scrambling
age
to get on.
restrictions and
Yeah,
stuff
well,
on it,
yeah,
though.
not
We-
safe for work.
You know, I think that isn't Facebook now putting some restrictions on what can be said and what can be done on Facebook?
They're censoring.
That wouldn't fly.
Well, but I think basically they're censoring whatever they think is political. I think what we talk about.
We don't talk about
Yeah,
political.
my mother would censor us, but I don't think
Your
Facebook
mother
would.
slap you upside the head.
We'll be back right after this.
Let's be honest. The National Symphony may not be in his future, but he wanted to try violin. So you said yes because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more about keeping your kids safe in your vehicle at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Show him you love him. Keep him safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Social distancing slows the spread of coronavirus, so we should all stay home to lower the risk for everyone. More info at coronavirus.gov. Let's all do our part, because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey, welcome back. It's the In Wheel Time Car Show for this Saturday with our new hours, 10 a.m. to noon. A couple of shout-outs I'd like to give. First of all, to my daughter who's sitting on some sort of mountain in Colorado camping, or maybe that's tonight, I don't know. But hi, Katie Armstrong, and thank you very much for being with us today. And I'd also like to give a special shout out to Candy Thackeray, longtime friend of mine, went to high school, actually grade school, junior high, and high school with, who's battling cancer in Kansas City. And so we'd like to wish her the best. And we're thinking about you and prayers for you as well. Thanks for joining us for today. And time now for Conrad's Car Clinic. And Conrad always has a little something special for all of us that really don't know as much as we'd like to know about cars.
Well, you know, in the theme of today's show being built around used cars and stuff, I figure I'd talk a little bit about certified pre-owned. We talked with the folks from Carfax just a touch about certified pre-owned. There's a reason certified pre-owned, if you can afford it, because they're just slightly more expensive than a regular used car, is worth it. Certified pre-owned vehicles go through a pretty regimented inspection process by each manufacturer. You know, some of them are 130 items to inspect, some of them are 170, some of them are 200 inspections. I'm not real sure why everybody has a different number for what they inspect, but at the dealership level, they do a pretty intense inspection.
One person looks at a lug nut and the other one doesn't.
They go through a very extensive inspection process of all of these cars, and it has to pass that to qualify to be certified pre-owned. And like we talked with the folks at Carfax, one of those qualifications to be certified pre-owned is it could not have been in an accident prior to it, or it wouldn't qualify as a CPO as well.
CPO, that'd be a certified pre-owned.
Certified pre-owned. And all of the manufacturers offer a version of CPO through their brand. And, you know, like at a Chevy store, all of their CPOs are going to be Chevys. At an Audi store, all of theirs are going to be Audis. So, you know, it kind of keeps a little tightness on who the inspectors are and what they're looking at, because they know the brand that they work on. Most all certified pre-owns also come with an extended warranty, just as part of it being a certified pre-owned. And then you can always buy the longer extended warranties on top of them. But a lot of them are going to give you 3, 6, 12 months worth of extended warranty that's just like the factory warranty. So all the electronics, all the trim and everything, they're still going to warranty for you. A certified pre-owned has to be more than 1 year old and less than 7 years old, and that's pretty much across all brands. That's generally the rule. And then on top of that, the warranty, certified pre-owns get certain incentives. You know, when they're offering some of these super finance deals on the new cars, a lot of times the CPOs will piggyback with a good finance program as well. Generally not as good as the new car finance program, but a lot of times not far away from it. The vehicle history report, they come with roadside assistance. Some of them come with a maintenance package that goes along with it. You get the continuance of the manufacturer's warranty and then the extension of the CPO. You know, Rochelle in 2018 bought her Audi Q3, and it has a 100,000-mile powertrain warranty on it as a certified pre-owned. So in a little bit of a way, sometimes the CPO warranty is a little bit better than the factory warranty. So, you know, you want to weigh all of those elements to determine whether or not you think it's a good enough value to buy a CPO. And again, whoever the dealership is and their manufacturer partner, there's a charge for a CPO. So they have to pay extra to make the car certified pre-owned that gets all of those things. So a certified pre-owned car may be a little bit more expensive, everything being equal, than a non-certified pre-owned. To me, I think there's a good value in all of those extras that you get from a CPO. So I'm very much a believer in it. Rochelle's now bought 3 of them as CPOs.
And you're happy with them?
Very, very happy with them. And she had to utilize...
Is it the same dealership or no?
No. It's actually all 3 have been different dealerships. Actually, all 3 have been Audis. She's become quite the Audi fan. She had 2 A4s and now a Q3.
Really? Huh.
So
I thought that she had a Mercedes.
No, Angela drives the Mercedes. We actually bought that new.
Okay.
See, when the kids were living at home, the kids all had nicer cars than mom. Now that we finally got all the kids out of the house and they're buying their own cars, mom gets the nice car, and I drive the Ford van or the 2004 GMC
The hand-me-down,
Yukon.
and you don't care. No, I don't either. Hey, calling all car, truck, and Jeep clubs, we'd love to feature your bunch in our Car Club Spotlight. Just shoot us an email to info@inwheeltime.com. Please include your contact information. We're not going to share it with anybody, so we'll be able to get in touch with you. And we can also share all of the club's stuff on the In Wheel Time website, and we can get you also on with us as well. In Wheel Time continues after this snappy little break. Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com.
Do you know what teens just love? Not being told what you're supposed to love. That's not anyone's business but yours. It doesn't matter what you love, but if you love it, click it. That includes you too. Because in 2018, 42% of Texas teens who died in traffic crashes were not wearing their seatbelts. Make sure everyone is buckled up. Every rider, every ride. Brought to you by the Texas Department of Transportation.
Welcome to America's award-winning car talk show, In Wheel Time, your weekly go-to all things automotive place, along with Mike Out of This World Mars and King Conrad DeLong. Don Armstrong here today. Our theme, if you will, our subject matter is about used, pre-owned, slightly massaged cars. And so we thought that what we'd do is kind of try to cover all the bases. And one of the guys that I really have been trying to get a hold of and wanted to connect with is Gary Emmons down at the Emmons Autoplex at the Gulf Freeway on FM 528 down in Webster, which is also NASA Road 1. But he's on one side of the freeway and NASA Road 1 is on the other.
Yeah, they're just on the east side of 45.
My race car friend, Gary, how are you, my dear friend?
Hey guys, I'm doing really well. It's good to see you and talk to all of you.
Well, hey, thanks so much for joining us. You know, we have mutual friends, and I don't know whether I should actually divulge that information. One of them is by the name of Dale Hallquist, and the other one is Stan Holt.
Both really, really good guys. I've had a long-term relationship with both of them, and just great people.
Well, I have to tell you that my career with them stretches back a ways, all the way back to high school because of Houston International Raceway right down the street from you that used to be down there in Dickinson. And so that's where my racing roots came from. So we've got all the, and plus I also worked for Top Fuel Team at one point. So I've got that in common with you. But what a great, awesome setup he's got with all of his cars and the haulers. I mean, here come the Emmons brothers. Oh my God, clear the way, because you can tell what a first-class operation. And I have to tell you, I had a chance to drive by Emmons Autoplex here about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Oh my gosh, what a gorgeous facility.
I'll tell you what, you guys kind of stepped it up a little bit down there, didn't you?
Just a little bit. You know, this building a facility of this magnitude has been a dream of not just mine, but all of my brothers. There's 4 brothers total. And it's something, we started out with my father's business, just a little mom and pop place, 30, 40, 50 cars. And now we've grown to, on our peak, we carry over 700 cars.
Jeez.
Holy Toledo.
Well, and you have a fully operational service department back there as well. I was back in your service department about 2 weeks ago. So you're not just selling cars, you're there to service and maintain them for your customers as well.
That is exactly right. And in the very back, behind the service department, we also have a body shop. So our goal was to build a one-stop facility. Whether you need to buy a car, sell a car, have it serviced, or have it repaired due to an accident or collision, we can do it all.
So you're not not a new car dealer. You are a used car dealer.
Strictly pre-owned only.
Okay,
pre-owned, not used.
It looks like a new car dealership.
Oh,
though.
very
I
much
mean,
so.
just
yeah. It's a first-class operation. Let me ask you. So do you narrow the field down as to what kind of pre-owned cars that you sell there at your dealership?
So for us, we know there's a sweet spot. You know, obviously, I think everybody likes to have really nice, expensive luxury type cars, but the reality is those don't always sell really well. You know, the bigger the price range, the slower they move off the lot.
Yeah, the smaller the market.
Absolutely. So what we try to do, our average retail price, so if you take our 700 cars in inventory, our average retail price is around 17 to 20,000 in that range. Now that means we have cars as inexpensive as 4,000, but we also have those one or two cars at $90,000, $100,000 sports cars that we like to put on the showroom. One of my brothers made a really good reference. He said, some people hang art on the wall. We'll just put our art on the showroom.
Yeah, I think you have an Aston Martin there at the moment, don't you?
We did. It's been sold.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. So, and you know, it's just our niche is really clean, really low mileage vehicles. And I know a lot of dealers say, you know, we have the best price, we have the cleanest cars, but we truly do. There's including myself, there's four brothers. So we're involved in every stage of the process here, from the purchasing to the reconditioning, to the selling, to the pricing, to the appraisals on trade-ins. So we really have our hand or a thumb on the pulse the entire time.
Gary, how do you compete with new car dealers and their certified pre-owned program? I know that you've got to somehow.
So it's real. Number one, what sets us apart from a lot of dealers is the complete transparency that we offer. So if you find a car in our inventory, we will guarantee that you cannot find one similar to it within 300 miles, whether it's a small independent dealer or a big franchise dealer, within 300 miles for less money.
Wow.
Just give us a fair comp. You know, you can't compare a black Escalade with a burgundy maroon one, because obviously there's a premium price for those black Escalade. But if you give me a fair, honest, apples to apples comparison, I'll beat them every time on price.
And how obviously you give a free Carfax with every car that you have there as well. We just got through talking to the Carfax people there. So you're not buying wrecked cars or flooded cars or some cars with a major problem, anything like that. But when it comes to warranties, how do you handle warranties?
So service contracts at our dealership, if you buy a car from us, I'm already going to give you a 3-day, 300-mile, it doesn't cost you anything. That's just saying, look, if you buy a car from me, if by chance a check engine light were to pop on, or if the air conditioner, you know, sometimes anything mechanical, you guys know, is always subject to failure. You know, how many times have we come home at the end of the night and a light bulb doesn't turn on when you hit the switch, or the AC has gone out by the time you get home from work? Right. We know that things happen. So we'll do 3 days, 300 miles, free warranty, bumper to bumper. And then anything after that, we also offer service contracts with multiple ranges of coverage.
Gotcha. So you can compete.
Absolutely.
Right. Let me shift gears here and talk to you briefly about the used car market. And I know that there's a lot of factors that, really can affect your business. And we've heard these horrible stories with the coronavirus and people losing their jobs, that sort of thing. But there's also, and I've been talking about this now since the coronavirus hit, the problem with the rental market and the rental market flooding the used car market, because nobody is renting cars, and all of those cars that are in rental car fleets flooding the market. How is that affecting your business, if at all?
Well, I'll tell you. So when the coronavirus hit, in the time of year that it happened, so like a lot of car dealers, we had stocked up in our inventory, had well over 700 vehicles in stock, waiting for the income tax season. That's kind of our retail Christmas.
Yeah,
right?
The spring selling season.
Yep.
You got it. So what happened was, when the coronavirus hit, it was taking us 6 days to sell what we would normally sell in one. Right.
Oh, wow.
So that, especially with the amount of overhead we have here, that puts it chokes you pretty heavily.
Yes.
So luckily, we had a lot of inventory, and we still had the ability to purchase inventory when the coronavirus hit. So we were continuing to add because the prices became really, really low at all the new car dealership, the auction houses. So the prices became very, very low. So we were still acquiring inventory when everybody else kind of went into a buying freeze. Okay.
Yep.
So what that enabled to do is allow better pricing on our inventory to pass on better pricing to our consumers.
Yeah, because that significantly helped you, because when other people aren't out there buying, supply and demand, there's no demand, the price falls. So it gives you an opportunity to buy cars at a much better price than what would have been had everybody been at the auction.
Oh, absolutely. I bet we bought 100 to 120 cars during that time frame at prices that you could never purchase them for ever, before or after, right? So what had happened, we were able to continue to add to our inventory during the coronavirus. And then, guys, I'm not kidding you, it was like a switch flip. I think a lot of people were just tired of staying at home. You know, it's almost kind of like a lot of people, you didn't feel sick, a lot of people. The skies outside were sunny, right? And they were just tired of being cooped up. I think a lot of people needed to make some type of emotional purchase to make them feel better. And what ended up happening, we ended up having our best month last month, the month of May.
Yes.
We sold 351 retail vehicles.
Good for you, man.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah, just phenomenal.
Well, I think that speaks volumes about who you guys are, the facility that you've got, and the quality of vehicles that you have on the lot down there. Matter of fact, we'll read a story in our auto news segment that a lot of dealers started feeling that things were coming back in May, and here we are in June, and it looks as though that things are not near as dire as they were back in April.
I completely agree. And I think a lot of people, you know, if you ask 5 different guys, you're going to get 5 different opinions on what the future of the used car market's going to be like. We are always an optimist because there's 4 of us. We seem to be able to kind of have or expand our vision on what the future is going to be like. And we are risk takers. We will buy when a lot of people won't. We'll make decisions that aren't always a favorable decision, but it's because it's in the best interest of the business or the consumer. For example, we have on any given day during the week, there's 4 brothers. You will never come to our dealership and not have one of us here on site. What sets us apart from a lot of the other stores is if you want to talk to the owner, you know, they build layers in between where you can't get to it.
Oh, yeah.
At our dealership, if you want to speak to an owner, you just let one of the guys know if you don't see us on the sales floor, because we're always involved daily. But you can talk to us at any given moment just by asking for it.
So, Gary, I have to ask you this question before we let you go, and that is that when you get on the drag strip, do you ever see your brother over in the next lane and have to compete at the same level as him?
You know, that's a very good question. And many times at the NHRA national event level and the divisional level, we have actually raced each other, not just during the eliminations, but actually in the final round.
Yeah.
My brother Harvey and I had actually raced for the very first time in the final round of the 1988 Cajun National. So that goes back.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So, and it was at the time, and he still holds this record today, to be the youngest national event winner in NHRA competition. That's my brother Harvey. And then and I think he won it at the age of 16. And in that year, in 1988, I was 15. So I didn't even have a legal driver's license. I just had a permit. And I actually faced off with him in the final. He beat me. He got the best of me. But had I beat him, I would have overcame and been the youngest person ever to win an NHRA national event.
Do you do
So what we've got is he has the title of being the NHRA's youngest national event winner, and I have the title of being the youngest NHRA national event finalist.
How cool is that? And I'm assuming you guys have a pretty nice online presence for your store and your inventory. What's the website address for that?
Do. Yes, it's EmonsAutoplex.com. You can view all of our inventory, apply for financing. You can evaluate your trade. We have a lot of really great options. If you want to do a trade appraisal, we do a true car cash offer. We do the KBB instant cash offer. And then we'll also do an appraisal ourselves. So if you bring your car to sell it to us outright or do it just a trade, we will actually give you 3 appraisals at once and let you pick the higher one.
Of course, I'd pick the higher one. Who'd ever pick something besides the higher one, right?
Well, it just saves the consumer so much more time in its transparency. Look, you don't have to go to the KBB. We've done it here for you. You don't have to do TrueCar. We've done it here for you, and this is what we'll give.
Well, and that's what I've always tried to teach my kids, whether it's contractors or anything like that. Get 3 bids because that way you've got some sort of range there that you can feel a little more comfortable about. So I think that's great.
Gary, thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and we're going to be down there knocking on your door more than you'll ever want us to be.
Well, guys, anytime I can help or participate, I'd love to. And hey, we have a race in 2 weeks at Baytown. It's the NHRA divisional race. You can see Dale, you can see Stan, you can see us. We can all have a great time.
We're coming down there to bug you, if nothing else.
Who's going to win, right?
Gary, thanks again. Emmons Autoplex down there at the Gulf Freeway at FM 528. Thanks so much for joining us. It's the In Wheel Time program, and we'll be right back after a quick break.
911, what's your emergency?
God, there's a train that just hit a car.
Sir, what is your location? Look around for a street sign, sir.
It's 8th and Orchard. 8th and Orchard.
Okay, very good. 8th and Orchard. Sir, help is on the way.
Why would he do that? The train still hasn't stopped. You have to get there now.
At a railway crossing, even if the engineer sees you and hits the brakes, it can take a mile for the train to stop. And for you, that's too late. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
Hey, welcome back to the In Wheel Time Car Show, and we thank you for riding with us today. Back at our new hours, kind of our old hours, but our new hours.
Saturday morning with In Wheel Time again.
Yeah. We got moved to the afternoon when we were with that radio station, and we're not there anymore. Yeah. So we appreciate everything that they did for us, but we're moving on as they are, I am sure, but we're moving in our own direction today. We're going to be kind of the wild children, those that you couldn't corral.
Again.
Shall we do the Ram tracks, Mr. Mars?
I thought I would just kind of tap into and remind everybody what the Ram Nation Volunteer Corps really is. They've been to Texas now 3 times that I know of to help people out. But what this does, they kind of tap into the instinct of truck owners in general to help people with their trucks and do things to when people are in need. And this is really a grassroots volunteer corps of Ram owners that are willing to go out and help people whenever there's a need. Now, this was really started back in 2015. And since that time, they've been a lot of places, done a lot of things. They've set up a foundation, offered a lot of money. But if you're interested in helping people and you want to use your truck and be with like-minded truck people, you know, you
Who doesn't want to be with truck people?
Exactly, particularly Ram Nation. I mean, there's a couple of clubs out there on the internet that are across the nation, but go to ramtrucks.com/Ram Nation. I mean, there's dealers, there's individuals, and they kind of bring everybody together for these projects, and they work with the First Response Team of America to help find these disasters and decide which ones they can help with. And like I say, I know of 3 times they've been to Texas during floods and fires.
All right. Thank you, sir. Let's look inside the mystery garage. If you're wondering what this door is, we'll have to give them the other shot there, Jeff, so they can see. Well, it wasn't that shot, but it's the door over here to my left. This thing back here, it's the mystery garage. We didn't know really what to do back there, but we thought that we would bring in a different view every week of what's inside the mystery garage. So inside the mystery garage this week is, I thought, a very cool garage. It's a 2-car garage, and you'll notice that there's the Corvette on the right-hand side over there next to the 57 Chevrolet. And up on the wall ahead of the 57 Chevrolet are the actual stock wheels that came with the Corvette. Can we bring that full screen?
Can't get full screen.
Okay,
that's
good.
As we can go.
That's good enough. But I think that you get the idea up there on the top of the wall. Got a couple of gas pumps over there on the left. I loved the floor. Now, this is one of those buy-it floors, and you kind of click it together. It's not as hard as actually putting down black and white checkered tile. This is a little bit more expensive, but
Kind of locks together. It's kind of like the flooring we use at the Autorama.
Yes.
It kind of locks all together.
Yes.
Yeah, except this is black and white. This looks like a checkered flag, not like you took it from a Montessori school.
And let's not throw out what we actually see up there next to the tires, just to the right of the tires up on the wall. You'll notice that it's a heater. So this garage is clearly up north because they needed that heater up there. You wouldn't put an air conditioning up there.
And who hangs C4 Corvette, a full set of C4 Corvette wheels on the wall up above the door?
Somebody that needs a set of winter tires. That's what.
Yeah, winter tires on a Corvette.
But you know, this is a working garage because he's got a lift there for the 57, as you can see it, just to get it off the floor, so you can get underneath it without scraping your nose. And then it's a working garage, meaning that the toolbox is over there in front of the Corvette. I thought it was a very nice, very clean look. This is
I'm jealous.
A picture that I took from actually that flooring company. And you can go on. There's a bunch of flooring companies that do this sort of click-in kind of stuff. And boy, if you got the dough, that's the way to go.
And I can't remember what that color of the Corvette or of the 57 was, but that was actually a factory color, that pale purple color. Was it
almost a lavender?
Yeah, lavender.
Something.
Oh, the license plate says
I can't read that.
C57 210. So I guess it's you can see it's a 210. It's a post car.
A post car.
Which means it
door
had the post between. It wasn't a hard top.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I get it.
Anyhow.
Thank you.
Well,
it's kind of a precursor to the bubble top.
The bubble top, I like that. Well, I like the hard top look without that post. You know, they made back in 56, 57. They made a lot of station wagons that were a hard top station wagon. Looked pretty cool as well.
Yeah, they had a 4-door too.
It was a 4-door that was a hard top.
Yeah, that was pretty cool looking.
We can do the racing and car calendars now, if you'd like to do that. Oh, is it on this sheet of paper?
No, it's not on that sheet of paper, but I need that sheet back. Thank you. I have to get my sheets together.
It's really bad when you don't have your sheet together.
So racing calendar again. We heard that there's a division race out at Baytown next weekend, 2 weeks from now, from the Emmons brothers. They're going to be out there. I imagine Dale will be out there.
That's what he said.
I know.
Were you not paying attention?
Yes, I was, but this is the racing calendar. I wanted to mention it again. And then the national event for NHRA.
No, I know. I was talking about that Stan and Dale, along with the Emmons brothers, will be out there, not the date.
Oh, yes, they will. Question is, will we?
You know, this happens when you get old, and the dyslexia really comes forward.
What? And then the national event has been moved to October, and it's actually going to be the week after the Dallas event. So NHRA is going to double up on Texas.
What are we going to do? I mean, how do you do that? Well, honey, I'm going to spend the entire weekend down at the racetrack Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Oh, by the way, I'm going to do the same thing the following week, too. So those projects that we had no, we ain't going to do any of that.
Why don't you come to the track
but from a pro team perspective, I mean, they're going to hit Dallas.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And then they're just going to
I'm
roll
not
on
talking
down
about
here.
the team. I'm talking about us personally, people that go and watch the races and be involved. You can't have two major national events in 250 miles of each other that you're not going to attend both of them.
And then back to the racing calendar, and then Texas Short Track is starting back up in June 20th.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So that's so that's not far away. So plan on that at Houston Motorsports Park is get out there and watch that. That'll be a lot of fun. And NASCAR this weekend is at Atlanta. NHRA's first event is going to be on July 11th and 12th at Indianapolis, and we were talking about that before. That on the NHRA circuit, they own the Indy track, so they're going to kind of open their season up at Indy. Events here in town, Nifty 50s is going to be tonight. Autos is still on hold. Freddy's Steak Burger is Sunday night out at Eldridge in 1960. Last weekend, Don and Jeff and I went on the Forest Cruise. Actually had a blast. That was a lot of fun. And
Until we got lost.
Well,
How do you get lost following a bunch of people?
Well, it was like 120 cars that were on this cruise, and when we came into a town that had one stoplight or one stop sign, we absolutely made a traffic nightmare in that town, and people were getting out to take pictures of us as we were going by. It was a lot of fun, but you kind of got distracted when you created that traffic jam. And then next weekend is HPD Houston Performance Driving Twin Peaks meet, and that's Troy Boy's 43rd birthday bash.
Is he buying?
Yes, Troy is always buying. And then on
no, he's not.
And then tomorrow on June 7th, the SCCA Autocross event down at Gulf Greyhound Park, and that'll be a lot of fun as well.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Just ahead, this week's Auto News. We are all things automotive here on the In Wheel Time Car Show.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others, and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back. It's In Wheel Time at our new time, 10 to noon, Saturdays on Facebook, on YouTube, and InWheelTime.com.
Stitcher. What else?
No, that's podcast.
Oh, that's okay, podcast.
Yes, so we need to keep all that straight. We got podcasts over here. We got live broadcast over here.
Join us for both. If you miss something in the live broadcast, you can always play the podcast while you're driving around in the car.
Yeah. Do you do that?
Yeah, I listen to podcasts in
do
the
you?
car.
Do you
Not
listen?
often enough. I tend
do you
to
listen to our podcast?
Yes, I do. I listen.
Don't lie.
I listen for my mistakes.
Is that what you listen for?
Yeah, that's why I listen all the time.
All right. Time time now for the news, making auto news headlines. Nissan recalling more than 1.8 million sedans because the secondary hood latch may get stuck in the open position.
And some of these they're recalling for the second time.
A majority of the recalled vehicles in North America are in the U.S. and Canada. The recall covers Nissan Altima sedans from 2013 to 2018. Go to safercar.gov, type in your VIN, you'll find whether your Altima is one of those.
And you could probably get your car app and Carfax as well, and that'll check you for VIN.
U.S. auto sales will fall about 20% this year and not recover from the coronavirus pandemic for more than half a decade. That's according to Alex Partners. In its Global Automotive Outlook released Thursday, the consulting firm projected that U.S. sales will fall to 13.6 million this year from 17.1 million last year and not return to 17 million until 2026.
I think that's a little gloomy. I think it'll recover faster than that, but who knows?
Well, we can all hope.
Yep.
But car companies are sending all of their workers back and actually working triple shifts at the truck factories.
Trying to get caught up.
Yeah, because inventory apparently is low at car dealerships.
Well, all of those incentives they were running in April and May drained the inventory at the dealerships, so now they got to really ramp up production.
Yeah. As automakers battle back from the health crisis, I should say, that has ripped the economy. Fleet sales to car rental companies won't be there to accelerate the recovery. Struggles in the rental market during the pandemic highlighted by the bankruptcy filings of Hertz and parent of Advantage Rent-A-Car have cut off a key volume destination for automakers to help smooth out dips in retail demand. Rental companies normally account for 8 to 10% of U.S. new vehicle sales each year. I didn't know it was that high.
And a lot of that tends to be early production build as well.
Yeah, so that's an ugly
Do you know
thing.
the Mercedes Sprinter is 25 years old? That Sprinter van has been in production for 25 years. I didn't realize it had been out for that long.
Huh. I didn't either.
How
did that come up in your brain?
Well, it's news. It was just automotive news.
Oh, I see. It was a different subject. It had nothing.
Had nothing to do with that. I just
Squirrel. Where? Dog.
Shiny thing.
It's the Suze. There she is looking at me like she wants to go out, so we're going to let her out after we take a little break. But we're going to do that, as a matter of fact. Back with hour number 2 of our show after a quick break. This is In Wheel Time, and we are all things automotive.
If Baby could talk, she'd say a lot. You'd know what she's thinking and what makes her happy. But unfortunately, Baby can't talk or remind you. You're the one taking her to daycare today, and she won't speak up if you drive straight to work like any other day and never think to look in the backseat. Every year, dozens of kids die from heat stroke in cars. No one is perfect, so set a reminder and always look before you lock. Where's Baby? Paid for by NHTSA.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to hour number 2 of In Wheel Time, the car show. Coming up, we continue our discussion about used and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Mac DeLopp at John Eagle Honda joins us. We'll also have our Ram Tracks feature, and we got the stories making automotive news headlines this week. I think I meant to say the Jeep Trails feature, but whatever. It's one of those, Jeep Trails or Ram Tracks one. I think it's Jeep Trails. Didn't we just? Never mind. All that and more just ahead, including the confusion. And hour number 2 of this week's In Wheel Time car show. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars, who's got his head buried in the computer down there, and King Conrad DeLong right there in the yellow BG shirt. I am Don Armstrong, so glad that you could join us today. What?
You're going to turn? Okay. Hi, Candace. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, is Candace there?
She just tuned in.
Hi, Candace. So good to have you. Candace is battling cancer up in Kansas City, and we wish her the best. Godspeed. And she's always been a fan of this show, and we appreciate you joining us at our new time. So thank you for that. Do we have Mac yet?
He was backlit. He's getting situated a little bit better.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah, we couldn't hardly see him.
Well, I see. Okay. Well,
here he is. He just sat to join us.
He's better.
Is he, are you back there? Hi, Mac DeLopp. Look at that beard, brother.
You didn't tell me this was going to be on video. I thought this. Wait a minute now. You're a whole lot better looking on radio.
Listen, we sure would appreciate it if you'd put your pants on, if that's okay.
I won't tell you what I am wearing.
No.
I'm wearing a bathing suit, actually.
Are you really? That's perfect. No, hey, Mac. So Mac is the managing partner out there at John Eagle Honda, and we sure appreciate you joining us. It's always good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much. And we wanted to talk to you today. I know that you carry your full line of Honda cars, but you also have a used car lot and a pre-owned lot there at John Eagle Honda.
That's right.
Yeah,
we sure do.
So I wanted to talk to you today. How is business overall in general with the coronavirus and everything? I know that car dealerships around the Houston area were hurting. We heard that May was better than April. Is that right?
Considerably.
Yeah.
We really had a solid month. I would compare it every bit to a January and February, and actually maybe a little bit better than that. And yes, pre-owned sales. Incredible, but it was solid on both sides. The only issue we're going to have, which I know you're familiar with, is going to be availability in the next few months.
Yeah, because all the factories have pretty much shut down. I think that they're coming back now, but obviously there's going to be a lag time before you get those cars.
There is.
Yeah.
The incredible incentives that the manufacturers put out there, Conquest Cash, and in the case of Honda, and of course Loyalty Cash, and of course first responders. Payments, no payments for 90 days, low interest rates. I mean, there's so many things being offered out there by all the manufacturers, and it's really, really increased business. It was a super May, and I'm expecting the same in June and July.
So let's turn to certified used and regular used cars, and let's talk about that. Do you get most of your certified used cars out of the returns off lease cars? Is that how that works?
Three different ways, Don. We of course buy them at the Honda auction, which are typically lease turn-in cars. They're low mileage. We bring them in, we certify them. So that's our first source. Of course, trading cars that we certify. We can go back as far as 6 years and certify a Honda. And let's see, and just outright purchasing. So trades, auctions, outright purchasing, we're always looking to purchase Hondas. So there's a lot of different sources to get our certified Hondas. And of
So,
course
in other words, I could bring my '79 Impala 4-door up there, and you'd say, "Yeah, we'll take that."
I'll certify it and buy it myself. That would be an awesome car.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. Yeah, somebody surely would snap that right up, except for those huge rust holes in the back fenders.
Well, I wouldn't expect you to own anything like that. I know better.
So we've been focusing on used and new cars today, and how much of your business there at the dealership is used and certified pre-owned compared to selling new? Is it significant?
In past years, it's been about 30 to 40% of our sales.
Oh my!
Today it's about 50 to 60%.
Holy cow! I had no clue. I was waiting for you to say about 20%.
At one point, when the virus first started, March and April, we were running neck and neck. It was literally as many used as there was brand new. So if we had 100 new out, we had 100 used out. It was remarkable how the used and most of our deliveries in March and April, Don, were in home. About 50, 60% we actually took out to the home and delivered. We would open up, our finance manager would open up a Zoom meeting like this, sit down with the customer as if he was right there. And it's changing the way we do business. Unquestionably, it's changing the way we do business. This was, although it's a horrible thing, the pandemic was horrible. It has taught us a lot about the auto industry and what customers truly want.
So do you think some of this change is going to be beneficial going into the future because of the you can deliver and take care of a customer in the comfort of their own home?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I don't know what percentage yet. We really don't have a feel for that. Everybody loves to feel, touch the cars, compare the cars. There's still going to be a lot of that. But, a Honda owner is a Honda owner, typically. I mean, I can't tell you exactly the percentages but it's really high. Loyalty factor is so high. So they already know they want a Honda Accord. They already know they want a Honda Pilot, a CRV, an HRV. They're pretty sure what model they want. And so it's a matter of picking out the features that they want.
Well, and one of the things is everybody has a pretty high expectations of a Honda, and when you bring the vehicle to them, you deliver that because the cars are extremely consistency in quality to deliver what the customer expects.
They are. They keep getting better year after year.
Mac, what is the number one car that you sell there at your dealership? Let's just take the last year. What's the highest selling car?
It's going to be our SUV line. That's taken over about 60% of our.
Really?
If I had to pick, it's very close when it comes to the Pilot and CRV, but the CRV would be our top seller.
Yeah, I've got a neighbor that she's on her second Pilot, and it was delivered to her house, I guess last week. And I mean, she thought it was great that they were coming to her instead of. But she's on her third Honda, so she knew what she wanted, and she just kind of spec'd it out. This is what I want, and they said, "Well, we'll bring it to you." And she said, "Great, I'll take it," and she did.
You would actually think it would be the younger generation taking advantage of that. And that's because of obviously everything speed and convenience and everything is so important to that consumer, but it's actually skewing a lot older than that. People, they want the convenience. They already know what they want. So it's a fairly simple transaction. And the fact that we can offer all of our finance products, if they want a vehicle service contract, if they want credit life, accident and health, or warranty, we don't force any of those on anybody, but we want to show them what a great opportunity is. I prefer a fully protected contract myself, gap insurance, everything. I recommend a vehicle service contract on everybody because they are much less expensive on cars that are very, very high quality with lower repair maintenance and low failure rates. So it's you can afford to fully protect your car up to 100,000 miles, and then there's no surprises.
Yeah, there's a peace of mind that you can get with fully packaging all of the protections available.
Mac, let me ask you, what is the average mileage of a used vehicle, whether it be pre-owned or just a used car sitting on your lot? I mean, do you have high mileage vehicles there, or are they like under 50,000 miles? What do you normally keep on a used car lot these days?
We love 20 to 60,000 miles. That's what we love in a Honda, but I'm not afraid of a Honda at 125,000 miles.
Wow.
You all remember my story with the 2000 model Honda Accord that I traded in 2010 was 750,000.
Yes.
And it was original engine. It was original clutch. It was a 5-speed manual transmission. Those cars will last if you take care of them. In all likelihood, they'll keep on running. We don't want to win it or quit.
Exactly. When we lived in San Antonio, 2004, something like that, we bought a new Honda specifically, just like you said, we could get all the protection packages. We were going from San Antonio over here to the Beaumont area every weekend. And when the hurricane started, we were helping family and everything. We were putting 25,000 miles a year on it, but I wanted a vehicle I was not going to have to worry about. I could get in it, the wife could get in it, and we could hit the freeway, and we could go every weekend as long as we did our maintenance. Yep. But, we didn't worry about it. And at 210,000 miles, I gave it to a granddaughter.
I would like to think back, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that that loyalty factor is huge. Back in our day, you were either a Ford, a Chevy, or a Dodge guy. And then today, you're either a Toyota person or you're a Honda person. And it still is that way. I mean, once you get into something and you have success with that vehicle, you own it for 5 years, you're going to want to go out and buy another one.
That's right. And we're seeing a lot more loyalty across the brands compared to what we did years ago. 36 years ago, 1984, when I started with Johnny Go Honda, it was a very loyal owner to the Honda brand, but you still had your Chevy guy, you had your Ford guy, you had your Cadillac guy, my dad was a perfect example of that. He was a Chevy guy and a Cadillac guy. My mom drove the Cadillac, my dad drove the Chevy. And, but it changed over, the loyalty started falling off when the quality of the vehicles went down significantly. There was such a huge gap between Honda and Toyota and Nissan and all the quality vehicles that the imports, they're not imports anymore, but the import companies. And so it went away for a while because of the quality. Now I think all that's back. There's no one building a bad car out there. Yeah. There are companies building better cars, but there's no one building a bad car. It's just not the case.
A lot of that loyalty change through the late 70s, 80s, and 90s was somewhat self-inflicted by the poor quality that was being delivered by some of the manufacturers.
There's no more Yugos sitting out there.
No, there's not. I think, remember the K car? Remember the Chrysler?
Oh, yes, we do.
That probably turned more people away from the Chrysler brand and the Dodge brand than anything in this world. Everybody went, oh my gosh, when the door handles were falling off. And I mean, it was just, it was bad. Something else.
Yeah, but it was a different time. And speaking of a different time, and I know that it's going to be a tough question for you to answer, and you might not even be able to answer it, but because we're in unprecedented times with the coronavirus. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life, and I know that none of us here have either, and as well as you, Mac. But what do you foresee? I know that you're in touch with all of the car dealers in town. What do you foresee with car dealerships, certified, pre-owned, used? What do you see? Is there going to be a change? Do you see some sort of direction that we're not able to see?
The virtual dealership is going to be something we'll see. There is no question. We will see a virtual dealership. We'll see a lot smaller dealerships than what we've seen in the past.
So the actual footprint is going to be much smaller for the dealership.
Much smaller. I see cataloging cars, putting them in vending like the Carvana product. Only the difference is that's how they'll be. You can build a dealership today on 5 acres on what we're currently doing on 20 to 25 acres. And that's with the methods that they have of storing these vehicles, just like the Carvana product. It's a company out of, it was Italy. It was Italy because Ferrari used it one of the first times to store their cars in a cataloging system like that. You'll literally walk up to a screen, you'll type in the stock number will be delivered to the showroom floor. It'll be in an environment that keeps the car clean. You wash it one time, you put it in that system. That's really the direction that I see it going. Not that the Carvana way of selling, it's more of
the storage.
It is, but it's unique. It's the way it looks for pre-owned vehicles. I see that happening. Imagine being able to store on less than an acre, being able to store about 500 to 600 vehicles, and you can go up from there. There's no capacity. You can keep going bigger and bigger.
How tall do you want to build it?
That is correct. So I really see that happening. You'll have showrooms, you'll have specific models on showrooms, you'll have test drives, but it will be delivered straight to the showroom, and you'll be driving out. I truly think the dealerships of tomorrow are less than 5 acres.
So it'll be kind of like a big climate-controlled parking garage.
That's right.
That's valet service. You know, where they go up and they get it and they bring it down to you.
Yeah, I believe that.
I can see that. Yeah.
And do you see? I'm going to go over to the service side of the world here. Do you see more of a concierge level pickup and delivery on the service side in the future as well?
And we're already doing that.
Yeah, I knew that. That's kind of why I asked.
Absolutely, already doing that. Picking up cars, VIP service. Right now, that's incredibly important. And service, really and truly, is just now really coming back. Auto sales came back. Service is starting to increase. There, of course, the summer months are coming on. I believe people are going to be doing some traveling, so they're getting their car in for service. We've seen a big uptick in the service side, but we saw the uptick in used and new cars first. And so, yes, to answer your question, absolutely, it's going to be easier, guys. The way vehicles right now, I mean, you don't need a major tune-up in a car until over 100,000 miles.
Right.
So you change your fluids. The electrification coming on the scene, there'll be less and less servicing on electric vehicles. The hybrids, of course, will continue to have the service. We're a long way away from that, but that's a side that's going to be less and less as we go more towards electric.
Well, Mac, you always tend to give us some information that we haven't even thought of, and obviously, it seems as though that the virtual dealership is not too far away, or at least a different looking dealership than all of us are familiar with. I know that it's transitioned over the years, big Taj Mahals to display cars, but I think that those days are numbered. Like you said, you won't need all of that anymore, and it's going to be an interesting time for all of us to witness. Mac, it's great to talk to you, as always, and thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday, my friend.
Yeah.
How's Castaway Rods doing?
You know what? They're doing really, really well with people fishing as much as they are. We've, one of the few companies out there that really have flourished during these tough times. Pretty much December, we knew it was going to be a very solid year, but when the pandemic hit, we were concerned, like everyone.
Sure.
And but the sales have come in. The big box stores, Academies, and the Bass Pro and Cabela's, and we were shut off for maybe 3 or 4 weeks when they tried to figure out what was going to happen, and then they immediately came back with major orders. So
figured out how to do curb service and everything. Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
Thanks for coming on today, Mac. Really appreciate it.
I enjoyed it. You bet.
Thank
Take
you.
care, guys.
Mac DeLopp, the managing partner out there at John Eagle Honda. Go see him. Great guy. And
290 in Eldridge.
Yeah, and he's there almost all the time. Yep. Hey, the In Wheel Time Car Show live streams on Facebook.com/InWheelTime, on YouTube, and our website, InWheelTime.com. Podcasts, by the way, are available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. A quick break now, and then Mr. Mars reviews the 2020 Toyota Tundra.
Man, I love my kids so much. I once sat for 3 hours in the cold rain to watch her soccer team lose by 18 goals.
I love my kids so much, I once used a tube to suck snot out of her stuffed nose at 3 a.m.
You win.
Love your kids? Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat. From toddlers to tweens, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to find the right seat for their age and size. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
You know, I had all the intention in the world this week of being able to change out some of the music. I've got some music selected. I've had it selected for quite some time because it's been a while since I've changed it out. I've got some new PSAs. I've got it all lined up. And something always comes up during the week kind of like you, Mars. You've taught me badly. And so I'm going to use everything else as the excuse as to why I have been neglectful in my music selections. But
it's good. I like the Doors, so we're good.
Please, the Doors, that's, kind of like the Doors, Live band. By the way, speaking of live band, Mr. Zekin, our video and sales director over there.
And music director.
And music.
Well, don't go that far.
No, not that. But he's going to have a big concert tonight down in Galveston. Mars doesn't know, but it was serious. What's the name
Where's
of
it at, Jeffrey?
At the Marina. The Marina Grill at the yacht
in the
basin.
yacht basin. So do you play yacht rock music? They're going to be below deck, playing below deck.
All right. We got all of that.
Rim shot there.
Time now for this hour's car review, and Mr. Mars had an opportunity to drive the Toyota Tundra.
Yes, I did. Now, I want to say that when we were in San Antonio, I had a need for a truck. Mine was in the shop, so I went down and rented one of these. My wife fell in love with it. Now, this is back in 2005, so they were a little bit different then. They've come a long way since then, but she still is in love with the Tundra.
2005, and this is 2000.
It's only 15
years ago.
Yeah, but, I mean, she still, every time, I'm getting a Tundra next week, she wants in it. She wants to go for that ride. And what we had was the 1794 edition. Now, this is a Crew Max 4x4.
That's the top of the line.
Full-size 4x4. It has a 5.5-foot bed on it. It's got a wide mouth grill up front that's unique to the 1794. It's a little different than the other ones. And another thing it's got is a 3-piece bumper system. A couple of the other OEMs have got that. So if you ding a corner or something, you don't have to replace the whole thing. You can replace the pieces of it across the front, which is pretty cool. And it's got the LED headlights, fog lights, daytime running lights. We had the moonroof. We had the TRD off-road package, which gave us some Bilstein shocks, skid plates, had tow hooks up front that kind of fit in with the off-road look. The 20-inch 6-spoke wheels are standard on the 1794, but we had the optional 18-inch 5-spoke alloy wheels. So they were a little bit smaller, and I really liked it a little bit better because I think it helped ride.
Oh, really?
It had a little more sidewall on the tires and stuff than those big 20s, and I kind of like the ride on that. But anyway, so you get into the inside of it. We had leather, of course, and it's all kind of up into that Western theme with that 1794. And if you're not familiar with it, that name comes from the ranch, the land that Toyota bought to build the factory on outside of San Antonio. So there's some historical significance there that they're really trying to pay tribute to. We had the front bucket seats that were heated. They were ventilated. You can get a bench seat in certain models, but, of course, not in the 1794 because it's too nice. And the back seat, the rear seat, is a 60/40 fold-up rear seat. So you can put a little bit of cargo back there. We had the 8-inch touchscreen there in the dash that handles the nav, the convenience controls, a really nice JBL 12-speaker audio system with a subwoofer and an amp.
Jamming to the Jimmy Buffett?
Yeah, I'm telling you, it'll jam to anything you want. Now, up under the hood is a 5.7-liter V8, and that's a standard engine, 381 horsepower, 401 pound-feet of torque, backed by a 6-speed automatic. Now, this combination allows it will pull 10,200 pounds. So that's a lot of load that you can pull.
In a half ton.
In a half ton. Now, that's always been kind of the drawback about the Tundra is the fuel economy. She's thirsty. The EPA says you should be looking for about 13 on city, 17 out on the highway, combined 14. I got about 13 average for the week I had it.
Did I not understand that Toyota is got a new engine coming?
Twin turbo V6 is what I've heard is in the works.
They've got a couple of things in the works.
I don't know if it's been announced
Some
yet.
of them have already gone to the V6, a turbo V6, but this is a really pure V8. So if you want a V8 and you're willing to pay for it to tow, this is one you need to look
Pay for
at.
it and fuel economy, too.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's got awesome power. The transmission does its search. That 6-speed works really good behind that V8. It's got a 430 gear in the rear end of it, though.
Oh, that's how that's how it tows.
Exactly.
Is-
That's
is
also
by
how
gearing
it gets 13 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, but that's, you understand that because that's why you bought that truck.
That's right.
You're not going to buy this truck because you're going to be driving every day to San
No,
Antonio
this is not,
from here.
Yeah, exactly. That's not what you're looking for. And it does have a firm truck ride, but it's not overly harsh or anything. If you're looking for something to compare it to, then you're going to be able to look at the Ram 1500. It's going to start at about $32 to get the 4-door crew cab type. The Ford F-150 starts at $35,285 in the same configuration. Get into the GMC twins. The 1500 GMC Sierra is a $35,900 starting point. Now, you can get a base Toyota Tundra, $33,575 for a truck. Now, the base test vehicle we had, of course, 1794, like you say, top of the line, $51,675. And with a couple of the options, such as the moonroof and a few other things, MSRP as tested is $57,222.
And that's right in the market, though.
And try and go buy a used one.
Yeah.
See if you can find one out on the used market. People that own these trucks keep them. They like them, just like my wife likes it. So there's a lot to be said for loyalty that we've been talking about. So if you're looking at the half tons, there's another one to look at.
Thank you, sir. It's In Wheel Time, America's most popular car talk show. We are all things automotive.
911, what's your emergency?
There's a train that just hit a car.
Sir, what is your location? Look around for a street sign, sir.
It's 8th and Orchard. 8th and Orchard.
Okay, very good. 8th and Orchard. Sir, help is on the way.
Why would he do that? The train still hasn't stopped. You have to get there now.
At a railway crossing, even if the engineer sees you and hits the brakes, it can take a mile for the train to stop. And for you, that's too late. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
Yeah, baby. It's In Wheel Time. Thanks so much for joining us on this. By the way, if you're just joining us, our live broadcast is Saturdays now from 10 a.m. to noon on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com.
So get up and get out of bed a little bit earlier.
Saturday morning with In Wheel Time.
Who's still in bed at 10 o'clock in the morning? Not old people, that's for sure. Yeah, dead. At any rate, it's time now for This Week in Auto History, and Conrad has that for us.
So this week in 1864,
Oh.
Ransom Eli Olds was born.
Of course.
I got to throw my Oldsmobile thing in there. In Geneva, Ohio. In 1896, on this week, was the first time Henry Ford drove the quadricycle, his first foray into the automotive industry. In 1921, Mack developed their symbol for the hood of their vehicle. And what was it?
Bulldog.
A bulldog. So that in 21 was the first time they actually put the bulldog on the vehicle.
I would do really good on Match Game, but go ahead.
In 1925, Maxwell Motor Company became, reorganized into the Chrysler Corporation.
Maxwell, I did not know that.
Neither did I. I thought that was pretty interesting. And then in 1933 this week was when the very first drive-in theater opened, and that was in
with Al Capone standing out front.
The Crescent Boulevard Theater in Camden, New Jersey. So drive-in theaters.
Wonder what's there now.
I'll go look it up and see, and maybe next week we'll talk about it. In 1934, on this day, the automobile manufacturer licensed the name Nissan Motor Company in Japan in 1934. In 1951, Gordon Bering, the designer of the 1935 Auburn Speedster, he patented a vehicle top configuration called the T-tops. And then the first production T-top was a 1968 Corvette. He patented that idea back in 1951 and never saw production until 68.
Wow.
I thought that was a pretty cool.
That is an interesting fact. But why not?
And then in 1957, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled against DuPont that it had to sell its share interest in General Motors because of what they were calling a monopoly. So,
DuPont?
Mm-hmm. DuPont used to own a boatload of GM stock. And the U.S. Supreme
what did
Court,
DuPont make for automobiles?
Paint. All kinds of
chemical
still make
components
paint?
for like
yeah,
rubber.
Yeah.
Automotive paint?
And then in 1959, and I am going to absolutely slaughter this name, but I'm sure Mac DeLob can say it correctly. Kichiharo Kazuwa Tahima.
You're right. You butchered it.
But he's the executive vice president of American Honda, was named here in the United States, and a small storefront office on Pico Boulevard in Los Angeles, California. And then also the second one from the bottom. And then in 1998, Consumer Reports called for the removal of Suzuki from selling their little Suzuki truck because of a tip-over hazard.
Kihachiro
Is that the Samurai?
Kawashima.
I got nowhere near that.
I was going to say, not even close.
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
But, you know, I always thought it was interesting that American Honda was founded in this. If you go look it up, this little bitty building in the suburbs of L.A.
Okay. You want to do the events calendar in 30 seconds?
In the events calendar is Bayou City Cup Car Show is next Saturday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., and that's going to be at Freddy's Steak Burger in Katy. And then also on the 13th is going to be the Texas Autobahn Forest Cruise into the Forest, which will be a lot of fun, and that's going to depart at 8:30 a.m. And then on the 20th is going to be the Father's Day weekend show at the Chambers Town Center, and that's the southeast corner in Baytown of I-10 and 146.
Thank you, sir. If you're a member of a car, truck, or Jeep club, you can put your group in our In Wheel Time Car Club Spotlight. Just email us the club's info and a contact name and number, and we'll take it from there. The email address is info@inwheeltime.com. We're back after a quick break.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hey, welcome to In Wheel Time, Houston's most popular live, weekly, award-winning car talk show. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars and King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong. So glad that you could join us today at our new time slot, live from 10 a.m. until noon Central Time every Saturday. We've moved it up a bit.
Here.
What time did you get up this morning to get over here?
Oh, I slept until 5:15.
5:15. Slept right in.
Yes, I
By
did.
golly.
Yeah, I got up about 6:30, rolled back over, didn't get out of bed till about 7.
4:30 for me.
Well, yeah, but you're always an early bird.
Yeah, I just
because you could sleep for 8 hours, but your bladder can't go more than 2 at a time.
No, you're speaking for yourself, sir.
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
Yes, I am.
No, I'm good in that regard. Do we have Michael?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Woody,
our theme today is used and pre-owned cars, and we've been talking to dealers, and we've been talking to Carfax, and getting all of the pieces in line, if you will, the stars aligned, so we can go and actually have some sort of knowledge when it comes time to go and buy a used or a pre-owned vehicle. And I thought, you know, what if we still wanted to go and kick the tires ourselves? What if Maudine, right down the street about 4 doors, had that car for sale that we've been looking at for 15 years? She finally decided to go ahead and put it up for sale. I want to go buy it. So
who would we get to go appraise it?
Well, we could get Michael Wooding with the Auto Appraisal Network to go look at it. But I want to kind of take a look at it for myself first.
Well, you got to look at it, decide if you want to get him involved. You can't tie him up for everything.
Right. So I thought, well, what better person to talk to than Michael Wooding with the Auto Appraisal Network to give it, because he does this for a living, to give us some sort of a general oversight and overview as to what we look for when we open the doors, when we pop the hood, pop the trunk, look underneath. What are we looking for? Michael, it's always good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on this Saturday where you have nothing else to do. Clearly.
How you fellas doing today?
Well, we're doing just fine, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk with us today. So since you do this for a living, I thought, well, this is the perfect person to talk to when it comes to kicking tires. So when you're doing an auto appraisal for an actual classic, an antique, modified car, whatever it is, what is it that when you start, where do you start? What do you do when you get out and you see the car for the first time? Take it from the top. Ready, go.
Well, there's actually two different procedures there. When you're talking about classic cars, it goes one route. When you're talking about late model cars, it's a whole different story.
All right. Well, let's go with the late model because we've already talked about the classics.
Okay. Well, let me play the devil's advocate to start here. As much as I admire Carfax and love the information they produce on the car, everybody needs to understand that information is only produced by Carfax when they have access to it.
Right.
And the only way they have access to it is through the insurance companies releasing that information. So when you get into, you talked about earlier, the flood of rental cars coming on the market. The majority of the rental cars companies are self-insured. So they can take a car that they've rented out, had an accident with, repair it, and there is no record available for Carfax to have.
So in other words, buyer beware when you're going to go and buy one from, let's say, Hertz Used Cars lot.
Well, and like he said, they run them through auction and the dealers buy them.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Because they don't know.
So you could end up getting it from a dealer as well. I think I mentioned on an earlier show where I had a 2018 Ford Explorer Platinum, bought certified pre-owned through a dealer. Had an accident that did $32,000 in damage. I did a diminished value appraisal for her, and when she turned it in to try to collect the diminished value, they said that the car had been in an accident before, and therefore she could not claim diminished value.
Yikes.
Well, so we know that there is a caveat almost to everything in life. So let's use Maudine's car down the street that I've had my eye on as an example. It's a 1977 Chevy Nova with a straight six in it.
Oh,
and to my knowledge, well, pick one then if you don't.
Well,
like
he said
that.
late. If we were going to talk about late model, let's kind of move
I was
up.
thinking like a
90s
12.
and 2000s.
Well,
let's talk about the 2010 Jaguar I bought in April.
All right, let's talk about that. All right.
How's that?
Good.
Okay. Shopping the old interweb, looking at cars out there. I had a particular, I didn't want the black or the gray colors. I wanted something a little livelier. So I ended up finding a nice blue color called Indigo Blue up in Austin. Okay.
All right.
And the pictures on the web, needless to say, digital cameras can give you pictures that look a whole lot better than what you actually see in person.
Oh, of course.
Okay. So I drove to Austin and looked at this car. And the things that I look at when I look at these, and you got to understand, cars today, the body's primarily plastic or composite pieces. So you're not really looking at rust on the body panels like you would on an older car. Okay. What you're looking for when you go to the body is change in color on the paint. What is it matching exact from door to the rear quarter, from the trunk lid to the side quarter, from the hood to the fender? Make sure that the color matches all the way around. That in itself doesn't guarantee that it hasn't been wrecked if they did a good job matching the paint. Then you want to look at tape lines. Where would they tape the car off to paint that particular part on the vehicle? Look for overspray that lets you know that the car has been repainted, because at the factory, those parts are painted and put on the car long before the trim is. So if there's some paint on the trim, there's a good indication that that car has been repaired at some point in time, whether the Carfax says it has or not. Okay. I always tell people I can tell a whole lot more about a car from the underside than I can the top. So you want to get to where the car was. Once they move the car, look at the ground underneath. Is there any drops of oil in the engine area, in the transmission area, in the rear end area, that you can see where that car had been sitting before it's moved to let you look at it? Okay, so look for that. A lot of people I know will go drive the car and then throw down a couple of pieces of paper and drive the car up on the paper.
Just to look for
and
those drops that
for a
happen.
few minutes, pull it off and look again. Okay, so there's several different things you can look at there. Like I said, most of the cars are plastic and aluminum today. So the rust isn't the biggest issue that you're really searching for. You talk about flooded cars. I don't care how well they clean the inside of a flooded car, you're going to let your nose work for you because you're going to smell it. Somewhere you're going to smell it. You might not smell it when you open the door, but don't be afraid to get down and smell the carpet. I mean, you're fixing to pay $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 for this used vehicle. You want to know what you're getting.
Give it a sniff.
So smell the carpet. Flooded cars today, even if it just got to the floorboards, is a major issue because there's so many electronics hidden down below the seats and low in the car. And once those electrical connections have been exposed to water, unless each and every one has been taken apart, dried, and cleaned, they're going to corrode quickly. Okay, so you're going to have faults start to occur rather rapidly.
Yep.
So those are some of the primary things that you want to look at on later model used cars.
What about underneath the hood? What about the trunk? What about that area back behind the seats?
Under the hood, cleanliness is number one to me. Now, a lot of dealers will detail the engine compartment, but they always miss something that keys me off. And you can imagine a car sitting outside under a tree. These people don't have a garage. It was kept in an apartment complex. Okay? You open up the hood, and those little areas back at the back edge of the hood that collect leaves and dirt as the car sits outside, that's where you're going to see some discoloration in the paint. You might even see some surface rust. The shock mounts where they come through at the top. Look at the top of the studs on the shock mounts. Are they rusted or are they nice and shiny? Okay. Pop the air filter container open. They're usually pretty easy to do. You're in a plastic box up underneath the hood. Pop it open and see if it's got a good clean air filter in it.
See if the squirrel's been
well the car was maintained.
Yeah, see if a squirrel's been storing all this.
Pull the dipstick. Look at the oil. People think, I don't need to do that. Yes, you do. Look at the oil on the stick. Make sure it's nice and clean. There's no sludge at the tip of it. Pull the transmission stick. Make sure it's nice and pink and not a burnt color. Those are things you want to look at on the later model car.
Check power steering fluid.
Power steering fluid. Look for leaks around the power steering fluid. You can reach down there and rub your hand on the hose.
Brake fluid.
A car with 30,000 miles on it's going to have a little residual oil. Okay? So don't think that just because you get a little bit that's an issue, but if it wets your fingers, then you're going to have a problem down the road.
Well, all great tips. I mean, yes, especially things like the shock towers, the shock studs coming out of the top of the shocks. I would never have even thought about that.
No, But it makes sense. I mean,
Yes.
that's just another place you should not see something.
Yeah, exactly. And just buyer beware. Where do you get an appraisal value for the Jaguar that you're talking about? So you have actually a ballpark figure that car is worth. Is it something that is readily available to people that are going to go and buy a used car like that?
Yes, with the internet today, you've got Kelley Blue Book and NADA, and all of those are going to give you a root number to work on. A retail value, a wholesale value, and a trade-in value. Okay? And then you got to let the car speak to what the actual value is when you get there and look at the car. Like the Jaguar, when I found it, they were asking $22,000 for it. When I looked at it, the tires had pretty poor tread. So I pointed that out right away. There's a $1,200 expense to put new tires on it, $1,400 expense. One of the wheels had some chrome coming off of it. Once that starts, you can't stop it. You're going to have to get the wheel re-chromed, and that's a very expensive procedure.
Right.
Okay. Even with my knowledge and ability, I bought the car, brought it home, and within a year, now mind you, this is Jaguar. I was warned of this. Being in the business for years, I've seen it happen to other people, but I went ahead and made the mistake because I just loved the look of the car and the performance of the car. But I've had to replace both cooling fans, the air conditioner compressor, all 4 wheel sensors for the brake pads, all 4 rotors, all 4 brake pads, in just a year.
Yeah, and none of that's cheap. If
None
it's
of
not
that's cheap.
on a Jaguar, nothing is cheap. Whether it's the parts are expensive or the labor to do it's just as expensive.
That's correct.
But again, it's a matter of having the eye, looking for it. And do you kind of go on a little bit of, for lack of a better phrase, because my wife tells me about this all the time, intuition. You see something that isn't quite right, and you can't necessarily explain it, but you kind of, that intuition says, I need to look a lot further into whatever it is you're looking at.
Yeah, and you know, things let you know how a person's taking care of the car. Look how clean the carpet is inside, especially on the driver's floor. Then look at the back and the others. You know, there's been a bunch of people riding in the car, just one person most of the time. Look at the door dings down the side of the car. Were they careful with the car? Did they park it at the back end of the parking lot, or did they always park right up in the front? And it's got door dings down both sides. That tells you that's somebody that used that car as a piece of utility. They didn't care. Okay? You know, I'm not going to park my Jag up in the front parking lot because it saves me a few steps. I'm going to park it a little further back where I think that maybe somebody won't park next to me close enough to put another ding in the car.
And then that redneck with the 1967 Chevy Beater pickup truck parks right next to you, out in the middle of nowhere in the parking lot, right?
Woody, we're going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us. Auto Appraisal Network is his company, and if you've got something you want to get appraised, call Michael Wooding. Hey, thanks again. We really appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man.
Always enjoy it, guys, and remember my show is coming up on September 26th.
That's right.
Today.
And that is going to be where?
San Leon, Texas, at the Topwater Grill.
San Leon, Texas. You got to say that with a little twang, my friend.
That's natural for me. I had East Texas parents.
Well, there is that. Well, we really appreciate it, man. Thanks again. It's always great talking to you. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks,
we'll
sir.
see y'all later.
All right. Michael Wooding, Auto Appraisal Network. Time now for Jeep Trails and Wheel Time's look into the world of Jeeping, and Mr. Mars has that.
Yeah, we often talk about the Easter eggs with Jeep and what they've done and, you know, the little things that you can look for. Do you ever wonder where the first Easter egg came from?
Tell me.
In the front of the windshield where the air vent grill is, you know, originally it was just a vent, just like any other car, just a bunch of little holes there. So what they did, the guy that designed went in and he turned it in. He looked at the Jeep. He said, it's a 7-slot grill. Why don't we put the 7-slot grill there as well? I mean, it's just part of Jeep. So they moved it up there and they made it a 7-slot grill across there. And that was literally the first Easter egg. And once they did that, and everybody started saying, oh, how cool.
And it was on.
And it was on.
How many places can I drop an egg?
Exactly.
Well, it's funny because I had a Jeep Wrangler, which we'll review in a few weeks, just last week, as a matter of fact, and they have an actual Easter egg of that grill that you're talking about on the wheels on this one.
Yes.
It was a Sahara loaded up with a diesel and a retractable cloth top. Not a convertible top, but a retractable cloth top. We're going to review that in a couple of weeks. Just thought I'd throw that out there while I had the opportunity.
Cool. I looked at that. I was going to talk about that, but I saw the Easter egg thing. I thought, man, where did that start? So this is a good one.
Absolutely. All right, more of In Wheel Time online after this quick break.
When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
I don't know. How how do we get in these conversations when we're not on? So it always winds up going back to Conrad's Pedicure, and somebody mentioned the fact that they had to get the chainsaw out. You know, it just is gross. Anyway, welcome back to In Wheel Time, the Pedicure Hotline. Time now for today's little tip that I got from Consumer Reports. You know, Consumer Reports is just another avenue and another company that does reviews of cars, and they do some research and that sort of stuff. Some people hate, I'll never do Consumer Reports. Why not? They're a legit company.
They get a lot of input from buyers as well.
I met some Consumer Reports guys that they actually invited to a car reveal several years ago that I went to.
There's one of them that's a member of the Texas Auto Riders, and he comes to the events. Real nice guy.
So a new study by Consumer Reports finds that vehicle buyers often must pay thousands of dollars extra for life-saving technology that they say should come standard. 2 safety systems, blind spot warning and automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection, have been found to significantly reduce crash, injury, and fatality risk on the road. Despite the clear safety benefits, these technologies don't always come standard in new vehicles, and too often come only with the purchase of a pricey trim item or as a premium add-on. So what Consumer Reports is trying to get all of the manufacturers on the same page and say, hey, look, you know.
Include it, kind of like analog brakes.
Or the rear view camera that's coming up pretty much standard on everything now.
So Consumer Reports reviewed the top 15 selling passenger vehicle models in the U.S. and found that blind spot warning is a standard feature in model year 2020 on the base level trim of just 3 of the 15 top selling models and is completely unavailable on one model. Blind spot warning, you know, Mike and I get to drive new cars, a different one every week, and that has become a huge benefit for me because without it, you've got to kind of go, is there anybody back there checking mirrors?
On the thing I'm driving out there now, it's got a 4-foot steeper on it. You just can't see anything out that side.
So blind spot warning is one of the things that I think that everybody should consider when buying a new car.
And the more things they add to the base car increases the price, but if they add it to all cars, that cost increase will be much less.
So,
spreads it out.
On the remaining 11 models, the median increase in the manufacturer's suggested retail price, MSRP, to equip a vehicle with blind spot warning was, drumroll, $2,510 with one model, the F-150 requiring a $12,285 upcharge to include the system.
But that's just one of the components within the entire option package.
Well, yeah.
That includes a whole bunch of stuff people may not want because all they want is a blind spot warning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My wife is driving her car. We had to step up a trim level. All I wanted was the bigger screen. I didn't want the little 5-inch screen. I wanted the bigger screen. I didn't want the V6. I didn't want the sunroof. I didn't want all the other stuff.
But you had to take all of that to get
what I wanted. I had to take it all.
So, and I guess there is some sort of a savings for the manufacturers to be able to offer certain things in packages.
Bundle it, just like your cell phone service and other things.
But there are other things like blind spot warning or a bigger screen. Why can't I order that separately? Because back in the old day, you could order everything separately.
Right.
Yeah, it would cost you several $1,000s more.
But you could do it
but
if you were
could do
willing
it.
to pay for it.
Yeah. So I don't understand.
Some of it, and I'm not making excuses, but some of them is the technology integration. So the integration of technology, blind spot warning, backup cameras, the backup radar system, the front radar system, all of those are intertwined that do the same sensors, do different things, and that may be some of it, but I ultimately think they're wanting you to buy the more expensive car, and that's why they package it the way they do.
Today's automotive news is next here on the In Wheel Time Car Show.
Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas TruckWorks team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at texastruckworks.com.
GTG, BRB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions, don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's In Wheel time. Thanks so much for joining us today with our new show hours live on our live feed, and that is 10 a.m. to noon Central Time. Are we keeping you awake? Did you just yawn? He just yawned.
Yes, I did.
He just
It's
yawned.
about the third or
We're
fourth
keeping
time I've yawned. You're not keeping me awake. You just got me up
Apparently
early.
not keeping awake
Just
very
very
well.
bored,
Yeah.
apparently. There's that.
Man.
I love you, Don.
I love you, too. All right. Some of the stories making news headlines this week. AutoNation, auto retail giant, permanently cutting 3,500 jobs across the company, or about half the number of workers it furloughed in early April amid the coronavirus pandemic. Kind of goes back to what Mac DeLopp was saying, that the whole car buying experience
It's changing.
is changing. And they don't need as many feet at the dealership on the ground working for them any longer, because people aren't going to the dealership, whether it be used or new or whatever it may be. Mark Cannon, AutoNation's Chief Customer Experience Officer, where did they come up with these titles, said AutoNation was able to bring back many employees as vehicle sales have improved over the last several weeks. He said jobs were coast to coast in operations at headquarters, dealerships, and its shared service center in Texas, which handles back office work. At the end of 2019, it had about 25,000 employees.
Oh,
I had no clue.
Yeah, they've got almost 250 dealerships nationwide.
I don't know how you feel about. Were you a member of the union?
Never.
Never. Okay. You were like white collar.
I was considered management.
Yeah.
So mismanagement in some cases, but management
Yeah.
nonetheless.
Mismanagement. Good. Works for me. At any rate, there's union news to tell you about.
We need union news.
Yeah.
Former UAW President Gary Jones on Wednesday pleaded guilty.
I was going to say he's going to jail. And lots of them did last year.
Well, there's some more.
Hey,
they're
news
headed
is
that way.
news.
Yes, he pleaded guilty to federal embezzlement and racketeering charges, a landmark development in the year-long corruption investigation into one of the country's leading labor unions. Jones, appearing in U.S. federal district court, admitted to stealing money from the membership he was elected to lead. In pleading guilty, Jones promised to cooperate with investigators as they continue to probe the union for financial impropriety. Guess what, buddy?
He's going to end up.
He's going to go down, and so are you.
Go big or go home.
No, it's used guys.
Used guys.
Used guys. Jones agreed to forfeit about $32,000 seized from his home last year, about $81,000 from his flower fund, and about $31,000 from another union account. He also agreed to forfeit a set of Titleist golf clubs seized from his home that prosecutors said he bought with UAW money. Oh, wait.
Yeah, I steal $4 million and I get $100,000 in fines. Sign me up.
Yeah, and don't forget about the boxes and boxes of these high-end cigars and other bizarre
Alcohol and all kinds of stuff, yes.
Yeah, all on union money.
And all of that increases the cost of your car more than the cost of blind spot warning systems.
Speaking of GM, GM is developing an electric van aimed at business users, joining a growing list of car makers planning EVs for the same segment that includes customers such as Amazon,
UPS,
according to 5 people familiar with the plans. This is from Reuters. The multi-billion-dollar strategy could enable GM, Ford, and at least 2 EV startups to build and deliver more EVs at a time when consumer demand for battery-powered models is still a small, teeny, tiny fraction of overall industry sales, while targeting a potentially lucrative market segment that Tesla has yet to address.
Look at all those gray Amazon vehicles driving around your neighborhood, and GM wants a part of it.
Yeah. So I'm being flashed signs by my daughter who has just joined us. Thank you, Amanda. We really appreciate that.
That's from your daughter.
Well, she knows me well, doesn't she?
Yes, she does. Yes,
who would know better?
No, yeah, that's exactly right. Love notes. Just saying. Well, guess what? It's that time to say bye-bye on that note. So we really appreciate you joining us. That is for today's In Wheel Time Car Show. Hey, when you're on Facebook, please give us a like and tell your friends about us. You'll get Conrad's unicorn hunting features, along with all things automotive all week long. The In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook.com/InWheelTime, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. Special thanks today to all of our guests. The In Wheel Time Chief Engineer is the fabulous David Ainsley. Our video and sales director is Jeff Zekin. This piece of mayhem was produced, written, and directed by Don Armstrong, and I'm sorry. For booking agent Mike Out of This World Bars and King Conrad DeLong, Don Armstrong saying so long for now. We hope you'll join us every Saturday 10 to noon right here on the Looking Glass Network. Thanks for being part of the In Wheel Time family. Enjoy your weekend. Be fabulous, and wash those nasty hands and stay sanitary like you know you want to. We'll see you next week.